Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala wa ba'd. So we continue with our study of this Risal of Shaykh al-Islam, Muhammad ibn Abdul-Wahhab, rahmatullah alayhi, to the people of Qasim. And we were in the last few lessons discussing his refutation against Ibn Sahin. Ibn Sahin was amongst the proponents of the deviant methodology during his time that used to lie upon the Shaykh, as you find the people of innovation doing with the students of knowledge, and likewise with the ulama of Ahl Sunnah. They lie upon them. Once they run out of arguments, they run out of proofs, then they become bankrupt, so they resort to the affair of lying. They resort to the affair of lying and slander and attributing things to them that they are in reality free of. They've done it with scholars of the past. They do it with the scholars and the students of knowledge today. And so we were discussing some of these lies which Ibn Sahin had launched against the Shaykh. And amongst them is that which we'll take tonight. He says, وَإِنِّي أَقُولُ أَنَّ اخْتِلَافِ الْعُلَمَاء نِقْمَةٌ. He said that, Ibn Sahin, he says that I said, or he attributed to me that I said that the differing of the scholars is a niqmah, that it is an atrocity, like the differing of opinions amongst the scholars is a niqmah or an atrocity. He says that, Shaykh Sadi says an explanation of this point, هذا كذب على الشيخ. This is likewise a lie upon the Shaykh. This is likewise a lie upon the Shaykh. لأن اختلاف العلماء في أمور الفروع والاجتهاد ليس نقمة. And this is because the differing of the scholars in subsidiary branches of the religion, fiqh-based issues. One scholar may say that this is to be done this way, and he has his proofs and his evidences. Another scholar says, no, it is to be done this way, and he has his proofs and his evidences. In the subsidiary branches of the religion, not the usul, not the aqidah, not creed, because the scholars are not different in creed. Ulama of Ahl Sunnah, past and present, if you read their books on aqidah and the belief system, it is as though they're writing with the same pen or speaking with the same tongue. Now, the aqidah is one. There's no khilaf there. But as it relates to the subsidiary branches, things like certain fiqh-based issues, then you find that the scholars may differ about that. One scholar says that the hands are to go on the chest after ruku'. Another says, no, the hands are to go to the side. And like this. So differing like this, Shaykh Salih says, this type of ijtihad in the subsidiary branches lays a niqmah. It's not an atrocity. It is not, a big deal such that we're going to start excommunicating Muslims and you're a kafir because you pray with your hands at your side after the ruku'. Now, it's not something that's huge or large like that. Al-ulama ijtahadu wa bahathu. For the scholars, they strive to arrive at the correct ruling, and they do their research. And the scholars are of different levels in terms of their striving and in terms of their research. Now, when asabu, so if a scholar, he makes ijtihad, right, and he strives to arrive at the correct ruling regarding an issue, and if he is correct in that, falahum ajran, he's going to receive two rewards. He's going to receive two rewards. When akhta'u, and if they strive to arrive at the correct ruling, now they exert all of their efforts, being sincere, and they err, and they happen to make a mistake. Falahum ajrun wahid, they still get a reward. They still get one reward. Now, for ijtihad matlub. So therefore, ijtihad, and this is like, again, ijtihad is striving hard to arrive at the correct ruling regarding a particular issue. Now, ijtihad is matlub. It's something which is matlub, it is desirable, it is required. Now, for ikhtilafu fihi la yudham. So therefore, if scholars may differ in these types of issues wherein one is capable of making ijtihad, because this is not in the affairs of creed, as you mentioned. Affairs of creed and aqidah are tawqifiyah, meaning that they are not subject to intellectual free thinking, they're not subject to ijtihad. Affairs of aqidah, it is tawqifiyah, it must come by way of a text from the kitab or the sunnah. It only comes about by way of a sound evidence from the book of Allah, from the Sunnah Messenger of Allah alayhi salam. This is in affairs of creed. Things like Allah Ta'ala's names and attributes. his Tawheed, yani that which we believe regarding the angels of Allah Azza wa Jal, that which we believe regarding the books, the messengers, and so on and so forth. What is Iman, according to Ahl Sunnah? These types of issues are tawqifiyah, right? Not open to intellectual free thinking, not open to ijtihad, must have a text to support it. As it relates to the subsidiary branches that we mentioned, then if one were to differ in things like this, la yudham. He's not to be blamed or criticized. He's not to be blamed or criticized. This is why certain things, it's not even a conversation piece. Like we take calls from our brothers who are incarcerated all the time, and oftentimes you find the things that they say about to split the community apart are things that are not even a conversation out here. We don't even talk about it. We see a brother, he prays with his hands to the side after the ruku, like I said, right? Sami Allahu liman hamida, puts his hands to his side. I may say that, okay, the hands go back on the chest after the ruku. I'm not even going to, have a conversation with that brother about that. But these types of things, unfortunately for some of their brothers, they be about to fight each other about, right? These types of things, in reality, la yudham. A person is not to be criticized or critiqued or blamed for that. فالصحابة كانوا يختلفون في الفتوى. The Sahaba used to differ regarding issues of fatwa, issues wherein a fatwa can be made. Now, the Sahaba did not differ regarding issues of creed, and regardless of what deviant individuals like Shaykh Muhammad say, right? The Sahaba did not differ in Aqidah. They never differed in Aqidah. But certain affairs of fiqh-based issues and issues of fatwa and the likes of this, the Sahaba may have differed in that. All of them, they would speak with that which is apparent to them from the evidence. فهذا النوع من الاختلاف محمود. This type of ikhtilaf is something which is not considered to be blameworthy. لأنه بحث عن الحق, because it emanates from striving and researching and trying to arrive at the truth. It arrives out of sincerity. أما الاختلاف المذموم, as for the ikhtilaf that is blameworthy, as for the differing that is blameworthy, فهو الاختلاف الحق, and it is ikhtilaf and differing regarding the truth, something which is the haqq. نعم, فلا يجوز الاختلاف الحق بعد ما تبين. So it is not permissible to differ regarding the truth after it has been made clear and evident. A person knows that something is the truth, and they differ with it and oppose it anyway. This is kibr. This is kibr. As the Prophet Muhammad alayhi wasallam, he said, "Man kana fi qalbihi," whoever has inside of his heart, mithqala dharra, as much as an atom's weight of pride or arrogance, will not enter into the paradise. They said, "O Messenger of Allah, indeed a man likes that his clothing should be nice and his shoes should be nice." The Prophet said, alayhi wasallam, "Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal." Indeed, Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. Meaning that this is not considered to be arrogance that you have nice clothes on and nice shoes on. Now you have nice things. It's not arrogance. But he says, وَلَكِنْ الْكِبْرُ, but arrogance it is بَطْرُ الْحَقِّ وَغَمْتِ النَّاسِ. It is to reject the truth when it's clear to you. Something is clearly the haqq and you reject it anyway. And looking down upon people. That's what arrogance is. Now, and so this type of ikhtilaf, differing regarding the truth and opposing the truth, that is that which is blameworthy. It's not permissible to differ regarding it once it has been made clear and evident. بل يجب أخذ الحق. Rather, it is obligatory to accept it. It is obligatory to accept the haqq. ولا تجوز مخالفته. And one cannot differ with it or oppose it. You cannot oppose it. ولهذا الفقهاء يقولون, due to this, the scholars, they say, the jurists, scholars of fiqh, they say, لا إنكار في مسائل الاجتهاد. There's no inkar in مسائل الاجتهاد. If something is from the category wherein it is permissible to differ in, so to speak, right? If it's from that category, there's no inkar on a person who may hold a different viewpoint than you. Right? You can't even be critical of them. You can't say anything about it. You can't, it's not something that you can make inkar or object to or reject. Right? So he says, and this is with details, of course. It's with details, of course. So we want to just mention this because You may have an issue, and the scholars have spoken about this as well, that if, mathalan, you have a husband and a wife, right, and they hold a different viewpoint on a fiqh issue, then whose statement takes precedence? That of the husband, no doubt, right? That of the husband, no doubt. Especially if it is a legitimate, position that he holds to on a specific issue, then she is to take his right or his viewpoint in that particular issue. Example, right? Scholars, they differ regarding whether the niqab is obligatory or not, right? They differ regarding whether the niqab is obligatory or not. If the husband holds that it is obligatory, but the wife holds that it is not, okay, so what is she to do with this issue? You have our scholars, right, who say that some say that it is wajib, it is obligatory due to the generality of evidences that mention the affair of the niqab, such as the fact that the Prophet ﷺ says that al-muhrima la tantaqib, that the woman in a state of ihram for Hajj Umrah does not wear niqab, right, as an indication that if she's not in ihram, then she does wear it, right? Many other evidences besides this that the scholars bring indicating that wearing the niqab is obligatory. Others say that it is not obligatory, however, it is better and closer to righteousness. Those scholars who say that it is not obligatory, they say, however, that in times of fitnah, then it becomes obligatory in times of fitnah, right? So the sister may say, okay, I don't hold the niqab to be obligatory, right? I follow the scholars who say it's not obligatory. But mind you, those scholars who say it's not obligatory, they also say it is what? Better and closer to righteousness. Now, so you have an issue here, right? Husband says it's wajib, he wants her to wear it. Sister says, okay, I don't hold the viewpoint that it's wajib. So she's between the fact that one, her husband wants her to wear it, and two, it's better and closer to righteousness. So she has to pick, right? In this case, she follows the ra'i of her husband. She's to follow the opinion of her husband. Now, however, and that's an example of the exception to this general rule that we're mentioning here, la inkar. There is to be no inkar, no critiquing, and no objecting to someone holding a different fiqh viewpoint than you. Now, there are details to it, as I mentioned. Shaykh Salih mentioned another example. Tahiyatul masjid waqt al-nahi, right? Praying tahiyatul masjid during the time, or waqt al-nahi, the time in which prayer is forbidden, right? Certain times in which salah is forbidden, right? So if you were to enter into the masjid at one of those forbidden times of prayer, should you pray tahiyatul masjid or not? Scholars differ about this, right? Scholars differ about this. So the Shaykh says, نعم بعض العلماء يرى أنها تصلى عملا بقوله. Some of the scholars hold that it is to still be prayed. You still pray tahiyatul masjid no matter what time you come in the masjid, even at waqt al-nahi, even if it is a time when prayer is prohibited, due to the statement of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, إذا دخل أحدكم المسجد فلا يجلس حتى يصلي ركعتين. If one of you enters the masjid, he is not to sit until he prays 2 rak'ah. General statement, so that is inclusive of waqt al-nahi or other than it, right? The time which prayer is forbidden or other than it. So he says, قالوا, so they say هذا عام في أوقات النهي وفي غيرها. They say that this is general for times in which prayer is prohibited and other than it from times. لأنها من ذوات الأسباب. And this is because it is from the wat al-asbab. And this is what the scholars, they say, when we speak about waqt al-nahi, right, times in which prayer is prohibited, there are, this is with the exception of prayers that are called the wat al-asbab, a prayer that has a reason for it, such as tahiyatul masjid. There's a reason connected to it. Tahiyatul masjid, you enter the masjid and that's why you're praying, right? Similarly, there is al-istikhara, for example, salat al-istikhara, right? You have to make salat al-istikhara regarding a serious decision that you have to make. It happens to be waqt al-nahi, but you have to make the decision, right? Then this is from the wat al-asbab. You can pray it even at waqt al-nahi. So he's saying that tahiyatul masjid, those scholars who say it's still to be prayed, this is the justification. It's the illah. It is min dawatil asbab. It is from the prayers that have a reason for their performance. Now, he says that بينما الجمهور يقولون, however, the majority, the jumhur amongst the ulama say وقت النهي لا يصلى فيه, that وقت النهي, no prayers to be made in it. Right? No prayers to be made at the time. لا تحية المسجد ولا غيرها من النوافل. Not tahiyat masjid, no other than it, from optional or supererogatory prayers. لأن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام نهى عن الصلاة بعد العصر حتى تغرب الشمس, because the Prophet prohibited prayer from after Asr up until the sun sets. And he prohibited prayer from after Fajr until the sun has risen. فقدموا عموم النهي على عموم الأمر. So therefore, those scholars who say that it's not to be prayed, they give precedence to the generality of the prohibition over the generality of the command, right? The command to pray 2 raka'at, or don't sit until you pray 2 raka'at. They give precedence to the general prohibition of prayer at that time over the general command to pray to masjid. Now, فَمَنْ أَخَذَ بِهَذَا الْقَوْلِ فَإِنْهُ لَا يُنْكَرْ عَلَيْهِ. So therefore, the one who accepts this statement, this is his viewpoint. He deems this to be the stronger viewpoint. We don't make inkar of him. We don't, we're not critical. We don't object to him if we happen to hold the other viewpoint, right? It's a fiqh issue, subsidiary issue. It's not an issue of aqeedah. It's not an issue of aqeedah. Now, وَمَنْ أَخَذَ بِالْقَوْلِ الْأَوَّلِ, and whoever takes the first statement similarly, he's not to be objected to. He's not to be objected to. لِيَنَّ كُلًّا لَهُ مُسْتَنَدٌ, because each viewpoint has its supporting evidence. Each viewpoint has its supporting evidence. Now, and they are from the masail al-ijtihadiyya, لا يجوز فيها التعادي, and it is from the issues of ijtihad, and it is not permissible for us to have enmity with each other over them. Right? It's not permissible for us to have enmity with each other over subsidiary issues like this. Now, for Sahaba يختلفون وهم إخوة. For the Sahaba, they differed in these types of issues, yet they maintain their brotherhood. It's a very important and critical point, especially in times of fitna, right? When there are issues that challenge our brotherhood, the issues that challenge our brotherhood, we maintain and we hold on to our brothers. We hold on to our ikhwa as-salafiyin. Now, we don't let shaitan win that fight and separate the ranks of the Salafis. والنبي عليه الصلاة والسلام لما رجع من الأحزاب وجهز الصحابة لغزو يهود بني قريظة. So he mentions another example of this, what's called ikhtilaf and naw', or the differing ways to do certain things, right? That the Prophet ﷺ, when he returned from the battle of the Confederates, and he prepared some of the Sahaba to do battle against the Jews of Banu Qurayza, and he said, لا يصلين أحد العصر إلا في بني قريظة. And so he said to some of them, that he was sending to Banu Qurayza, that no one is to pray the Asr prayer until they reach except at Banu Qurayza. No one is to pray the Asr prayer except at Banu Qurayza. And so, while they were traveling, they saw that they were making good time. They would actually reach there before the time they had expected. And so some of them, they said, well, the Messenger of Allah only intended for us to make haste and to hurry up and get there. He didn't intend for us not to pray, right? And some others, they said, well, no, the Prophet said, don't pray except at Banu Qurayza. So some of them prayed in the pathway, and some of them waited and prayed at Banu Qurayza. Once they reached the Prophet ﷺ, they mentioned this affair to them, and the Prophet ﷺ, he did not object to either party. He said, rather, you were correct and you were correct. Yani both of you are correct. So he did not make inkar of either of the two groups. نعم لأن كل واحد منهم له مأخذ من الدليل, because each of them had they had something that they were relying upon in terms of evidence for their action. فالاجتهاد من هذا النوع لا إنكار فيه. So therefore, differing of this type of category, there is to be no inkar, no objection to it. ولا يقال إنه نقمة. It is not to be said that it is a niqmah, it is an atrocity. It is an atrocity, right? So this is a lie, first of all, upon the Shaykh that he said something like this. Second of all, Shaykh he explains what is correct as related to this issue. بل يقال إنه اجتهاد وبحث عن الحق. So rather, we don't say it is a niqmah, but we say that it is an ijtihad. It is a striving to arrive at what is correct and research for the truth. Now, we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala, and we pick up tomorrow night from the next point. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.